used to hearing it's a matter of time before anything I'm hoping for is sure to be mine. And I do believe it, and no heart can to receive it as I keep these words in my mind each and every time. Just prepare for it. Just prepare for it. Who knows it could happen tonight, and it could happen to knows, but who really knows? Who knows, but who really knows? Death sneaks upon you like a thief in the night. Since we're not sure if it's arrival, we gotta live right, though we might get distracted by the things that are sight. We can't go blindly when we enter the light. Before we enter the light, just prepare for it. Just prepare for it. Who knows it could happen tonight, and it could happen to who knows, but who really knows? Who knows, but who really knows? I'm feeling this aura.
Say she want the farmer man. Yeah, man, I thought it's a representative. Me, I said check me up on the overall settings. This.
Yeah, you know it's your boy Jack Can, straight out of Canada, and overall setting.
Yo, this is the girl Joey Brooks, and I'll be on Overall Settings podcast.
I represent for Overall Podcast. You know, Overall Settings Podcast. See?
Actually, the queen get the president. I know I represent for Overall Settings that develop the resident.
I will be on Overall Settings.
On the Overall Settings Podcast.
People, you know it's the Overall Settings podcast.
Overall Settings give thanks every day.
Overall Settings.
Overall Settings Podcast.
I will be live on Overall Settings.
Overall Settings. Pow, 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 pow. Way ho. Pow, 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 pow. Not because you're over there and I'm here, I'm with you. My heart, my soul, my love lies, we burn deep within, and my heart is with you, and my soul is with you, and the love we have goes on and on, yeah.
Yo, I'm back, and you know, fresh from Jamaica. You already know. You know what I mean?
Hold on, them did know say you gone.
Then if we not keep no show, then they must know say we gone. Remember, say we have the audience, you know. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so
people.
We have
him dip upon way.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Him dip upon way.
I want to tell us that Mickey Setting still out there doing thing too. You know, see,
Him go refresh up on forward. Mickey Settings, Mickey say yo.
Yeah.
A month me I give them.
Yeah, they want to soak up some more of the sun, you know. You know what I'm saying? And as you talk about sun, anybody with there Jamaica right now can tell us, I don't know if a heat wave are going, I don't know what going, but me hear some of the whole time of them say, yo, at the first in their lifetime, them ever feel them type of heat.
Yeah, man, but they see them a think about it, man, for real.
Yeah,
they must say, yo, son, no, man, this heat are too bad.
And a normal heat out them, man.
God, them ask some of the people them how them deal with the heat. Some of the people them say, you know what?
Exactly.
We go do good.
Yeah, for real, brother, for real. And a normal heat.
Yo, for real.
No, brother, I'm tell you the truth. And you know what's the truth? Most of the house, them are concrete, brother. It's like some different type of heat. None of that.
When they meet the hole in it, a hole in it.
Yeah, man, I beard all 3-4 times for the day and then sitting there, brother. You know, see, but just beard and I feel like more beard again. I just literally sleep all in a shower with the water run for me. You know, see it.
They say they might get some foreign hot.
In a normal, man, in a normal.
Humidity.
Exactly. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Overall Settings, the podcast that differs, where we always highlight the icons of yesteryear who chop the bush for the current icons of today, who set the stage for the future icons of tomorrow. But one of the things that myself, Mickey Settings, Mermaid Settings, Misha Settings, whole I family,
Whole I Settings family.
Settings family, Mickey Settings, the whole of them. One of the things them
Counselor Settings. Miguel Settings.
And even Zoni Settings.
Zoni Settings.
You know, see,
listen,
one of the
listen,
things,
man, we have about 500 setting family.
Yeah, man,
everybody will forward over
everybody will forward over your ton family after this.
All right. Remember, we tag them settings, you know. So
Exactly.
the whole 500 are settings.
So
the whole 500 settings family, big up on yourself.
We have one of our distant family pan live right now. You know what I say? You know what I mean? You know them family where you know them.
But you know them a family.
Yeah, but you know say them a family. And you just embrace the whole concept of them being family. But no, we are get the opportunity for know the family. So this is more or less of a meet and greet. And you know, we always like them type of show.
Yeah, the next one to the family.
Right. And we love them type of show because this one is, you know, a little different from what we normally do. You know what I mean? We always talk to the artists them and, you know what I mean? So that our forte and has become our forte over the years. You know what I mean? But occasionally we get the opportunity to talk to some entrepreneur.
You know, we're not stray from nothing. Cause we want them over here too, you know, because people them teach people same way and people can learn from them. And you know, give them an energy same way. Because not everybody is an entertainer.
And even the artists them can learn something too, because you know, a lot of times over the years, you know, your voice have the wear and tear and your body have the wear and tear. So even after a time, you know, far too many artists that we've talked to and probably that we haven't talked to, you know, don't set a solid foundation for themselves. So once the music gone, once all of the curtain them go down, them not really have nothing to fall back on. So you know, this can apply to them as well.
Yeah.
You know, man, setting a solid foundation. Not only for you, but you know, for your kids, them, for your family, you know, man, for your legacy. You know, man, you know, so basically, you know, this gentleman who we have on alive right now, me I tell you the truth, dog. I can't wait to talk to him, you know what I mean? But in the meantime, between time, you know, it's all about station identification, overall settings, the podcast that differs.
Overall in the
exactly.
building.
All in the name of progress, brother. All in the name of progress.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I say? I mean,
yeah.
there's nothing that warm my heart more than ambition. You know what I say? Setting out upon your dreams, embarking on a journey, completing that journey, having conviction, you know, for that journey. You know what I mean? You know, this thing that we call life. You know what I say? A lot of people put emphasis on, you know, being a boss. You know, one way to be a great boss is
Be your own boss.
be your own boss, but at the same time, you still have to be a great worker in order to become a great boss. You know what I say? So, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, me not work for nobody or whatever, but even if you have, and I'm sure that today's guest can attest to this, even when you become a business owner, you're still working for your customers. You know what I mean? So you everybody have a boss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Enough time when you work for yourself, you work harder than if you have work
Exactly,
for somebody else.
Exactly.
Where you need to get done, nobody else now gonna put in that time and effort for you.
Exactly.
Where you want to accomplish. So the average person work 8 hours a day. Sometimes you work double that for the day.
But imagine doing everything that we just said in a country that is not yours. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, like, you know, from the very humble beginnings of you know, a third world country, you know what I mean, to forward into the UK, you know what I mean, working your way up the ladder to the point where you can fly your own business. You know what I mean, like, me can't wait. I'm very excited to talk to today's guest. So, you know, without further ado, you know what I mean, on behalf of our brother Zoni, you know what I mean, big up anywhere you're there. I think he's actually performing with Shifty. Happy Independence, Jamaica. Today is Jamaica's independence. And I think that they are actually I think they're actually performing on a show right now somewhere down in Florida. So they'll probably be joining us a little later. You know, if not, you know, I'm sure that they're going to do their part when, you know, it comes to sharing this video and the awareness and everything.
Yeah, man,
but
you know, Zoni, our brother, man, I will love him, we love him. Bless up yourself, Zoni. Big up.
Make it possible. Big up Shifty as well. So anyway,
man, Shifty, big up yourself, though.
Without further ado, today a very warm overall settings welcome for somebody who started from very humble beginnings and went on to have his own business, you know what I mean, in the UK. Today's guest, Mr. Damion Douglas, Jamaican businessman, streaming live from the UK.
UK, big up on yourself.
Yeah, brothers.
Yeah, man, manners and respect, me dad. Manners and respect. See the man all in him uniform and it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock over there right now. So, you know.
Hold on, 10 o'clock at night or morning? Which
in
one?
night.
PM.
PM.
Yeah.
All right.
So before we even, you know, dig down in where we are dig down in.
Me have family in England too.
Me have family over there too.
Family in England.
You know, see, you know what I mean?
I haven't been over there to see them yet.
I've been there several times. You know, thanks to you, even one night time you send me over there. You know, man. But you know, before what we like to do over here is tell people how much we value their time. We know that, you could be planning your next business venture. You might have some jobs that you're doing. You probably, I don't know what time you're open in the morning. You know what I mean? You could actually be resting or a big Sunday like this.
Don't eat him rice and peas and ready for
as a
sleep.
Jamaican, you know what I mean, with the family, you know what I mean, me notice you have your family them around you, you know what I mean? So, you could be anywhere in the world, with your family, doing whatever it is you would normally do on a Sunday. But for you to take the time out to come over here, we want to commend you, you know what I mean, for your time. And we really appreciate the fact that you would take the time out to not only come talk to us about your experience, but also drop some jewels. You know what I'm saying?
Drop
you know
some
what I mean?
knowledge, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
That we really want. The knowledge.
We appreciate that, brother.
Pass it on, you know?
Respect.
Yeah, man. Give thanks to that. Give thanks to that. The whole we know you're not band big, so you know what I mean. Zoni kind of done let we in pan the secret already. So you and him grow together. So I would gather that you hail from for the North Coast, Ochi, right? To be exact.
I'm actually from a place called Orange Park, which is I'd say about 14 miles away from Ocho is.
Okay. So Orange Park. So that's actually in St. Andrew, right?
Yeah, Orange Park is in Centon. It is very famous for illegal racing on a Sunday. Yeah, there's a long stretch there that people would race on, but I don't. They do it anymore.
Okay. Seen. So hailing from a community like Orange Park, you know what I mean? Cause we not reach England yet. We want to go back as far as you would like to relinquish any type of information regarding, your childhood, come to right which part you're there, So that we like to do over here. We like to kind of dip up in your business and, give the people them some insight with who we are talk to and them things.
Yeah, like a picnic
man. Run up and down in a yard or
much brother and sister and all them something there.
I watch him and I watch him and them a burn up a track or whatever. You know what I mean? Like we just want some experiences. You know what I mean? Like what's it like growing up in Orange Park for Damion Douglas?
Okay, so Orange Park is a very rural farming community. What people classify as bush or bushmount, But I enjoyed my childhood thoroughly growing up because I had so many adventures there. I remember going into the woods, fishing, shooting bird, pig, playing marble, playing at the local community center, playing cricket, football. It's not like nowadays where, most children are more addicted to technology. That wasn't about at the time.
Right.
We did not even have landlines at that time,
Right.
I thoroughly enjoyed the childhood. What I thought was probably a poor life is now that I reflect back and realize that was true living,
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes, me love that. Very humble beginnings, and like me say, when you're in it, you probably have a little what you call reserve or whatever.
When I talk about marble and play gig and all them something, man. You mean, man? Remember them things, man.
Yeah, man. For real, remember them days if it's true, brother.
Yeah, I used to get enough beating for going to the fish pond, My brother, I remember my mother always said, we're going to drown at the pond, And with all that beating, I still wanted, we still hide and go occasionally,
Yeah.
But we just have to pray that a local informer don't see us and go tell all the mom, My mom was a very stern woman.
See, that's another thing. That's another thing that changed because people kind of keep themselves to themselves nowadays. When we are grow as youth, the whole community responds to you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Man.
If mama over there see you, I do something wrong.
Exactly.
She go drape you and say,
yeah, man. I mean,
what you do?
You could have get her ears as.
Yeah.
And
you know when your mother here is the next one that.
Yeah, exactly.
You ever get beaten at school? And you go home, where you get beaten at school? Where you get beaten for?
So
all right, I give you a next one point the beat where you get at school.
So which school did you go in your community?
Okay, so first I started going to Orange Park Basic School, which is in the community. The teacher at the time, Miss Annie, Miss Annie Scott, she's now passed away. But I used to
you remember the name Dane?
At that time it was the only school in the community and so on. And I do remember so many people, because I'm sure Miss Annie probably taught my mother as well.
Wow.
But she was a teacher for a very long time. I also have some quality memories of going to school, basic school level. I left from there to go to Golden Grove all-age school.
Okay.
Which was in an adjoining community. But them times that we used to walk to school, Yeah, you'd have to walk to school, because it's not like nowadays when public transport is readily available,
Right.
or you'd have to hope for a drive.
Yeah.
You'd have to hope.
So how far was I walk there?
I think about 2 miles.
Jaja.
Yeah.
As a little boomer, I got you.
That's not too bad.
Me know, but me just say.
Too bad.
Yeah. But still, I mean, in a dem time, you try walk 2 miles.
Children, I don't think children will walk these days. Yeah, so I did common entrance examination, and then I went to Ferncourt High School. That's where I met Zoni,
Okay.
Yeah, Zoni was my real good friend at high school. One distinctive memory I have about me and Zoni, was we were in the same 8th grade. I'm sure we were in the same 7th grade as well, but me and him have some disagreement in the middle of English class, Me and him call up each other at the back of the class, and when we turn around, the teacher said, we realized that the whole classroom was looking at us, and the teacher said, "No, let them tear themselves apart, man. Let them tear each other." So that stands out in my memory. But I'm a brethren, man, my brother.
Yo, if at them time you want to cell phone.
No, but no, it's just that. No, it's like I want people to gravitate to this video over the course of time, because it speaks directly to what we see Aguana. We touch. We didn't even go down to the nitty-gritty yet, and if you can clearly see how our childhood is in complete contrast of what you see happening.
So true.
Because everything, because we touch upon the technical aspect of things. We touch upon, the simplicity of life, everything. And now we touch upon one of the biggest things where you see happen upon the world over, the inability for your youth have a conflict without it being final.
Right, or go too deep.
Right, that's what I said. Without it being final, like literally, them youth as a man diss them, a gun go for and 2 life last, because believe you me, youths, when you no kill a man, it's like funeral life last too. Man. So imagine when you see 2 men can call out them one another and still a friend. Best friend. Man, say that's just to show you that it can be done. Man, say it can be done. But you have to check your ego. The ego is something where you have to just kind of just put it aside, and you'd have surprised how you could have forward through life with the least amount of conflict. Man, say, or even if it's conflict, it's something that you can just get past over the course of time. So there's lessons to be learned, by the generation before you. Man, say, and I'm glad that you actually touch upon that particular point. Man, say. You know what I mean? So basically, you know, like I say, a child, it came from very humble beginnings. You know what I mean? Went through school, common entrance, the whole works. You know what I mean? We talk about the schooling and things of that nature. You know what I mean? So how long was it before you started to like focus on what you wanted to do as a career? And it doesn't necessarily have to be what you're doing now, but like after you left school, like what was like your first job, or like what was one of the things them that,
Okay.
Or even during school, like, you know, was sports one of your main thing that you was focusing on? Or, you know,
Well,
tell us about it from in school, coming out of school.
okay. So the community of Orange Park, my mother operated a shop, you know, a shop and a bar. And also my father operated one in Kingston. Yeah, so I was exposed to entrepreneurship from a young age, you know, and but in my community, most of the people around are like farmers, and some of them are, you know, domestic helpers, different things, you know. So I aspired. The biggest thing at the time was when someone probably joined the army or something like that. There's quite a few people from the era that joined the army that I used to look up to, you know. And there was also a gentleman that was a policeman, Gillan. Everybody used to fear him, man, you know. But so, to be honest, I never had any major aspirations. I just probably wanted to um, have a job. Even working at a hotel would be a big thing. You know what I mean? At the time, it was seen as a big thing. You know, when they're dressed in them black and white, and you know, not realizing. I big up all hotel workers, but not realizing that it probably wasn't something that was well paid.
Right.
You know, but my mother always inculcated certain things in me from a young age. She always tell me that I could be whatever I wanted to be.
All right, stick up in 1 second. Were you the only sibling?
I have a brother who is 4 years older.
Okay. So it was just two of you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so I wasn't too sure what I wanted to be. I doubled with the idea of joining the army, or whether I was going to join the force, or whether I was going to run a business of my own, you know. And, you know, I never took school too serious, to be honest with you. Initially, I never took school too serious until my mother told me a story one night. She told me that when she was pregnant with me, she was building her little house, you know, and she used to push a wheelbarrow. And the wheelbarrow was so heavy and it was filled with stones, and you know, told me, oh, she really struggled to make the little shop that she had. You know? And the story touched the very core of my soul, you know. And I thought after the story, it just kind of laminated in my head that I have to make mama proud, you know. Because she'd been through so many struggles, and to see that she evolved that little one room into a nice little house, and you know, we had initially had a little shop and she added the bar to it. Considering that my mother, wasn't a very well educated person in that sense, like, you know, go high school and go college, and or you know, but she was a brilliant entrepreneur and she had a brilliant mindset. Yeah, she was well respected in the community because she was always very positive and always have some uplifting and motivating things to say, you know. So the world's transfer. My mother moved. My mother and father got married, and when I was about 12 years old, I was attending Calabar, and I was attending Ferncourt in Stenton until I was in third form. I finished third form. Then my mother moved to Kingston. I was left in the country with my aunt. my mother, tried to get me into Calabar. And the first attempt, it never worked, but my mother was a very determined woman. Yeah. My mother was a very determined woman until she persuaded them, because I never had the best grades or anything, to be honest.
Right.
But she persuaded them somehow to let me attend the school.
Whoa.
So I started Calabar in 4th form. But I realized there was a distinctive difference between these two schools.
Yeah.
Because when I go to a school in the country, you have to have serious respect for teachers,
Yeah.
Or if you're kicked out of class, you have to hide. Sometimes at Calabar, you'd see half of the school outside. And then you're taking the talk from the teachers,
Whoa.
But yes, I was also very concerned because at the time, my mother used to pay like $2,000 per term to go to Ferncourt. And at Calabar, she was paying 10. So that's a massive jump.
Yeah.
I realized that I had to take school a lot more serious, Yeah, I had to take school more serious. And eventually, I graduated from Calabar with 5 subjects, I still did not take education too seriously at the time, if I'm being honest. And my cousin of mine was visiting from Canada. So I left school now when I wasn't working. I'm at home, and trying to apply into different businesses to see if they would take me on. But you know how hard it is to get a job immediately after leaving school because you have no experience. You're not really So it's like my cousin came from Canada and he wanted to migrate to Jamaica. So he brought a machine that is used to clean cars, like clean upholstery and so on. So when he was leaving back to Canada, he said to me, "Why don't you take the machine and clean some, like you can clean car seats and you can clean upholstery and so on and so on." And I'm picturing myself, nah man, just graduate all proper high school, go clean people car,
A mad mother, will be that.
Yeah, and he said to me, "Okay, don't look at it that way. Look at it as a little business venture. You know what I mean? And you can charge serious money if you clean the seats. And a tactic that you can use, if you clean one of the seats, it stands out so much that the owner is going to say, no, you need to clean the rest because this one is so clean and make the others look very dirty." So he sold me the idea that way, and here I am. So I clean neighbors' car seats and clean friends and family and so on until it started to get a little bit busy, especially on a Sunday.
Money sweet, no.
One thing I must say, my dad, rest in peace. He was a brilliant man because I remember.
My condolences.
Yeah, man. Both mama and papa was trod on, but
my condolences again.
Yeah, man. And I went to my father. And asked him for a loan to purchase a bigger Hoover. Because it started to get busy on a Sunday, and friends start come over to help and so on. I'd give them a thing, and my father would lend me some money whenever I needed something, and I'd always pay him back. Always pay him back, despite, And one day he said to me, he called me and said, "Son, do you understand why I always take the money back? Despite I could have just given it to you." And he explained to me that it is a lesson that you should always pay your debt. No matter what, you must pay your debt. No matter who you get it from, always remember to pay back. And to this day, that has stayed with me, And the car thing worked for a while until my mother never really liked the idea of me cleaning cars, because because it's not only cleaning the seats. Sometimes people will come by for you to wash it and so on and so on. Because how often is someone going to want their seats clean? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right.
But one morning, she was leaving for work, and I said to her that I was asking her for something, some money or something to buy armor out. And she said, "Son, you know, I don't mind you taking on this entrepreneurship road, you know, but you know, I spent good money to send it to school, and I had high expectations for you. You know what I mean?" And I kind of felt a bit embarrassed, you know, because you know, as Jamaican men, we worship our mothers, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Jamaican men really we love daddy, you know, but we worship our mothers. We live to make mama happy and mama proud.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so the car thing died a natural death and thing, you know. And I decided to do something else, and I applied for the police force, you know. My father had a bar, as I was saying, in Kingston. Sometimes I'd go there and help out from time to time and so on, you know. But I had applied for the force because I didn't want to join the army because I found it too restrictive. Because when you are in the army, sometimes you're gone away for months and so on and so on. So the police, at least with the police thing, you can go home in the evenings if you survive the day. Know that's Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I applied until I was eventually called to join you know, for training at the Jamaica Police Academy, which is now the Jamaica Police College.
Wow.
And I went there, and you know, and that would be another part of the journey. I went there and we did non-law subjects: psychology, sociology, human rights, ethics, English tutorial. You know, I'm always very surprised when people think police are dunce, you know, because you would never know the journey that you have to go through to become a policeman. Yeah. And after we did the non-law subjects, it was time to move on to law. And there was a particular book called a presser that you needed to study to move on to law. And I heard someone, a friend of mine named Marvin, reciting a definition one night. Yeah, the definition of observation. What is observation? Observation is the habit of making a mental picture of what one sees with particular interest to small details. It is the cultivating of the mind and memory to be retentive, as well as to give practice to the eyes so that they may see things without much effort. A constable should develop his powers of observation by recording in memory everything he hears, sees, and smells. When he recited that definition to me, me think seriously, me I go feel and drop out. Oh, the hell me I go remember. You know what I mean? And that's only one point, you know. To remember to put that definition down on paper is only 1 or 2 points. So you have to remember what is murder, what is abduction, what is this, what is that. You know. And I started to take it very serious. Every night I start fret now. So I'm going to fail. So every night I start read passionately. Even when my dorm mates fall asleep, me up and read. Because this fear of failure and going back and tell people them say never make it.
Yeah.
You know, so I started to passionately read. And I remember I had a tutor called Mr. Morna. And he was a brilliant educator. You know, he brought it across in such a way that makes you want to learn. It intrigues you.
Right.
You know? And I realized that he and I had a connection in a sense, because once he was teaching, I would absorb it, you know. And, you know, the first exam came, which was the junior exam. And, you know, the results there, he was telling the exams was marked out of 40, and he was telling who and who got high marks, and some people even got 37, 38, and never hear mention me, you know. Until I said, sir, how much did I get? And then turn and then said, Douglas, 39 and a half. You know, and I was proud, but as I was saying, it was out of more fear because that I was studying that hard and so on and so on. It never came naturally. I had to really read and study, and I took it serious. And second exam came, and I did very well. I think I got another 39. The third exam came, and I think I got about 35. But I graduated with the highest marks in law.
Oh wow!
Police Academy. And I never told my mother that I was getting the award until the day. So when she turned up, she was very, very proud, you know, to know see her son. When my brother showed her, say, yo, Damion get the highest marks in law. Because there are different things that you can get awarded for, you know what I mean? However, the award for best at law was the most coveted because we're studying law at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So I was stationed after we graduated. I was stationed in Ochiris. I was stationed there for a while until I remember one day I made an application for some leave, and when I made the application for the leave, I brought it to the center headquarters, and when I brought it to the center headquarters, the sergeant in charge at the time read it, and he said to me, "What school did you write this?" So I said, yeah, man, I wrote it. So he said, "What school did you attend?" And he started asking some questions and so on. And I told him, and he said, "Would you ever consider working here? Because this is the headquarters, the superintendent headquarters, and this headquarters for Centon." Wow. So, you know, I thought about it, and because I never saw myself as an office person per se, I like being on the road and so on, you know. So, however, he said, "You do realize that we only work Monday to Friday, and you know, 9 to 5." And I said, okay, that's all. You know, and but I didn't heard anything from him again until one day I went to the police station and I realized everybody was being over friendly to me, you know. And I'm thinking, why is everybody being so friendly? Until when I look in the register, I realized I was transferred to the headquarters.
Wow.
The reason why they're being so friendly is because they think you have powers now, you can do things for them. Yes, so they want to be in the good books, you know?
Yeah.
So I was transferred to the headquarters and I worked there for about 3 years. And I did finance. I was placed in the finance department. Yeah. So we paid workers, you know, we didn't pay them directly. They're paid from the ministry, but we organized repairs of the station and, you know, issued cleaning stuff and so on and so on. And, you know, until I remember one night, a friend of mine came to the police station, yeah. I was still in Ochiris, and a friend of mine came to the police station and he asked me for another policeman, you know. So I said, I don't see him, you know. I haven't seen him all day. So he said, "I have 2 girls we're taking out later, and I want him to come along and be his wingman, you know." So I said, okay, if I see him, I'll tell him. So he came back a few hours later, and I was still there chatting and thing in the station yard. And he asked me for the policeman, and I said, "No, I haven't seen him." So he said, "What about you? Why don't you come along?" So I said, no, I don't want to meet anybody. You know what I mean? So he said, "Oh, nice girl, you know, they're 2 nice British girl and so on, you know." So I said, "No, I'm honestly not interested in meeting anyone. Okay, you're working Ochiris, I meet foreigners all the time and so on. And I'm only young, and I'm only about 20, 21, you know, so it's nothing exciting about that." You know what I mean? Anyway.
So, hold on, not to interrupt you, but you're only 21 at this time. So, how long were you in the force already?
I think about 2 years.
Wow.
2 years. So you joined the force when you was what, 19?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Right out
of high school.
Yeah.
So at 19 in Jamaica, what was it like being an officer of the law?
You know, in all honesty, a part of what made me join was because at the time there was an influx of crime in Jamaica, you know, and instead of me just, you know, cussing government and cussing this and cussing that, I thought I wanted to well and truly make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And you see what you just say?
Yes.
I respect that. Want to make a difference because a lot of time
wanted to contribute and make a difference,
right?
Instead
But
just complain.
not all officers think that way.
That is true.
Honestly, and that is I respect that and I rate that to you because that is what I want an officer to be, to make a genuine difference, not to abuse the power.
That is true.
You see me? So I rate and respect that.
You know, I say gyms upon gyms, you know, when I reach at the meet where we are talking about it, you know. And a beer lesson I learn and jewels I drop.
Yeah, man.
Yes, so I went with my friend to there was a place there. I'm trying to remember what it was called. Little Pub, I think it was called in Orchards, you know. I went there and you know, my friend introduced me to these two girls and so on, and one would become my wife.
Wow.
You know, you know, we started to communicate. I started to communicate with her.
Hold on, I never want to go.
Yeah.
Hold on, remember saying that young man in them time.
You know.
Good man. Me all right, man. You go on, man. Me all right, brother.
Yeah. Just ready for run a while.
So we started to communicate back and forth and so on, and she, you know, she would come to visit Jamaica, and she always invite me to come and visit England until one day I decided to, you know, take a trip and so on. At the time, I don't think you even required a visa at the time, you know. You did not require
like an invitation letter or something like that. Did I do it?
Yes. So I came here, and to be honest, I didn't like it. I came here to visit, and I never too like it. It seems so bleak and dull, and you know, you know, we're from Jamaica. We love the sunshine, and we love to be outdoors. Jamaicans are outdoor people.
Yeah.
So to come here and visit, and you're indoor most of the time. I call it the box life. You go from one box to the next. You go from your car to in an office, in a house, you know what I mean, to a venue. You're constant.
mention the cool.
Yeah. Yes, I never really liked it, and you know what I mean. Yeah, but I came and visited several times until eventually we decided to get married. You know, we did decide to get married because it's someone I was truly in love with and so on, you know. And
the boss, that's where the sunshine for love, eh?
Power of a woman.
yo,
the power of a woman.
When you follow your heart, you know, my youth, I tell you, you have to understand. But anyway,
so we decided I moved here. I moved to. She was living in Manchester, but because I was coming here and she thought I had better job prospects, she moved to London because she had gotten a job in London. So I came and went straight to London and live in London, but I did not know anybody at all. You know, we only have each other. You know, I don't know anybody at all. And I used to do a security. I applied and got a job as a security officer, like you know. It was like a commercial building that had different offices. You would issue passes and so on, but it was 12 hours. 12 hours, either 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. Till 6 a.m.
So, Damion,
you know?
let me ask you this, right? So,
yes.
you when you leave Jamaica, you were still in law enforcement, right?
Yes.
All right. So when you moved to England, did you ever thought of being in law enforcement in England at the time, being that you coming?
I actually applied, and they responded and said that I had to be living here for at least 3 years. And but within that 3 years, this is where I went on a different journey. You know, but I did have interest in joining initially, you know, but its policing here is very, very different than Jamaica. Very, very different. Because here they police mainly by psychology and not brute force. Because the police on the street don't even carry guns. So that should tell you a lot. And England probably is one of the least crime-free places on earth. Or most crime-free, I'd say. Not free from crime totally, but, you know, they have things under control.
So you're saying, like, even right now, and them, can me notice, me know back in ideas, them never used to carry gun, but even right now, them not carry firearm?
Even right now, only if there's only if there's a serious scenario that requires a special squad to come out, they will come out. And if there's a scenario that they need to take somebody out or something like that, I don't think they're gonna fire more than about one bullet.
Wow.
and for some reason, try that start carry gun, you know.
Try that at Jamaica are feeling, you know.
Cool, no, man. Sure.
I'm surprised that police arrest quite a few people with firearms. Disarm people with firearms, and they have none.
Wow.
I remember once in Brixton, I think in London, there was a police who was awarded. He had 2 scenarios where he disarmed gunmen, and he did not have a gun.
Yeah,
so anyway, we don't want to get off subjects. So you were working. You were working in
the job, but I feel like my talents were wasting away because I've always been very good with my hands since I was a kid. I can build things, I can make a kite, I can fix things because, you know, 80s youth, MacGyver was my hero.
Yeah. I'm a favorite, sure.
Every Jamaican love MacGyver, brother.
Yeah. Well, hold on. You like the new one? Look, I'm like the new episode too, you know.
I never see the new one.
You never watch the new one yet?
No. One either. I've never seen the new one either.
You never see the new one?
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it. So
Bad same way, man. But them just enhance it.
Okay.
Bad same way. Bad same.
So I feel like I was wasting away at this job, you know. You're not really learning anything, and you're not really, you know. And one day, me and my wife was heading out, and she thought I had my keys, and I thought she had hers, and we closed the door behind us, and ended up being locked out. And I rang for a locksmith, and the locksmith took about 2 hours to turn up. And at the time, this is 2006. I think I earned maybe about £60 for the day. And the locksmith charged, it was £100 that he charged. And he took about 10 seconds to open the door. But you know what? I was so intrigued by what he did. It was mind-blowing. It was like he worked magic in front of my eyes because all he did was put a piece of plastic and just push the door open. You know, I was going to have to drill him out, you know, all sorts of things. It was a massive eye-opener when he opened it. And I wasn't too concerned about paying because we had to get back in somehow, you know. But I was so intrigued, and it's not like now where the internet is readily available. You remember when we had all these internet cafes and internet shops around?
Right.
Because it's not like we never even had the internet at home, much less on a phone. So I was so intrigued that this thought about this locksmith never left my mind. Even when I was at work, I said, you know, I would love to be doing something like what he's doing because he's helping people and he's also benefiting financially from it. And he said it's a sort of job that looks enjoyable. You know, you can have fun as well, and you're moving from place to place. You're not static. You're not in the same place like I was for 12 hours, you know. And I started to look at courses online whenever I went to work. I used to go on my computer at work, or I would go to internet cafe and see what a locksmith does and so on, because as you know, in Jamaica, if somebody's locked out, they probably kick the door off or something.
True, man. I broke a window or something.
Or if it's a grill that they lost the key for, maybe somebody, a welder will have to come and burn the lock off. So I educated myself what a locksmith did. So I realized that there are different types of locksmiths. There's an auto locksmith, there's forensic locksmiths, but I like the idea of a mobile locksmith because you're moving from place to place and different scenarios, different scenes, different places. So I found an institution that offered the course. The only problem is that to get to this place, I'd have to take 2 trains and about 3 buses. And I was so hungry to learn, and and a few months passed, and I applied to the institution, and it was a private institution, and I started to attend. But because I was so eager to learn, the knowledge came very easily. The knowledge came very easily, and I decided that I was going to quit my job as a security. And I never forgot what somebody there said to me. I think she was a cleaning supervisor. She said, "You'll be back. You'll be back." I'm like, thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah, cause something like that, or else you gotta take like really.
Yeah,
Instead of saying something like positive,
good luck
or something like that, you'll be back. You'll be
back. And in my head I thought, okay, that's one of the reasons I'm gonna make sure I never come back.
No, man, you can't pass back, but just say hi. How you doing? But how are you?
Yeah, you see, film life kind of like born into 2 parents who are entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And even without them saying, "Yo, at this you fear do." You know what I mean? Are leaving for them business for say, "All right, son, run this." You know what I mean? It kind of does, you know what I mean? Seeing the people that he seen in the community that he looked up to, the hotel workers, when big up. You know what I say? Like, so it's like literally, it just goes right back to what I said. There's a lesson to be learned from every single reasoning where we have over here. And I love Damion the most because this is exemplifying and literally highlighting and putting a spotlight on how children are sponges.
Very true.
You know what I mean? So like when you see these TikTok videos that make us laugh and the Facebook them, and you see some little pitney, I recite them favorite song word for word, or I do some dance better than all the man we make the dance or whatever. You have to really understand you cannot take lightly how these children pick up things. So, you know what I mean? And it's either by directly or indirectly. But literally, what you do around them, brother.
But, yo, I'm going to use you as a perfect example. You have a daughter. She's what, 10 now? And you is a DJ singer, and your daughter probably sing better than you right now.
Exactly.
Your daughter probably sing better than you right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's not something where you say, you have to
me
do
never,
it.
Me never put
sing.
that in her lap.
Yeah.
Like even our older sister now have nothing to do with music, and she used to live in a studio with me. Me never carried a little one. I must say 1 or 2 times I carried a little one gas studio.
So you
and she decides, you know what I'm saying? So like literally, it's just, you have to be very mindful of what you do in the presence of your children. You know what I'm saying? And you could not have had better role models, you know what I mean? Even though they might not have been as educated, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, look what you were able to acquire from just being exposed to them. And it wasn't like it was, because you see, the another thing I want to touch upon before we go further in the story
and
is
real
the
quick,
fact that
this man was a police officer.
Right.
But in his mind, he still had that entrepreneurship.
Yes, entrepreneurship.
Planted
Yes.
in his brain.
Right.
It was there.
But the one thing that you know, you have to remember, me have 50, you have 55 next week.
Mhm.
Right? A lot of times, you know, parents, the generation of me grew up in, you know, it's like children are to be seen and not heard. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you would ask certain questions, it would be met with, because when me tell you, do, or because I said so, right? You know, but at the end of the day, what I got from his story so far is the fact that even though his mom and his dad were entrepreneurs, I never heard him say one time, yo, you have to go run your own business, or you have to go do this, or you have to go do that. Yes, mommy gave him some examples, and based on, you know, the will.
Mommy did say, you know, you send you go school for the,
right.
but, you know, the care
but
thing.
She still never,
right.
She still
never say you
deter him from doing it.
Right.
And the story that she told him about the wheelbarrow is what kind of inspire him to say, yo, I want to make mommy proud. You get to me, I say? You know what I mean? So a lot of times when a pioneer sets out on a journey, they don't even know that they're going to become a pioneer, you know. Your mother might send you down the road and say, yo, go buy a loaf of bread at a shop. You know, see it, and the obstacles where you face just for reach at a shop there turn the journey into something altogether different.
Yeah, God, enough time, people.
I like my time in general.
That's true.
Remember, you know, the G meet him wife, you know, and him not even the one go, you know. And when he meet him wife, him end up going England.
Yeah, tell you.
And if him never did go England, probably if him did want to turn locksmith at Jamaica, probably a kick out people to run a bone up grill. You know what I'm saying? So you never really
probably
know.
would stay in the
I remember that they stay in I force.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, literally, you, like I said, continue. I mean, me just, you know, me just,
yeah,
like
man,
I
we have
said,
to touch upon certain things.
Yeah, man. Me just did have to address that because it's such. You're such an inspiration to many in ways that you probably wouldn't even anticipate. But this is documented. This is another part of your legacy, even though your legacy has already kind of been planted long ago. But no, it's become what you call it, the public knowledge to people who outside of your circle.
Right, and you never know who life you might change.
If this go 1 million views by a morning, when time you did set out for your journey, you never know who you did have an effect in a positive way.
That's what I just say. You never know who life you gonna change. And if it's one person, you've made a difference.
Exactly.
Very true. So as I was saying, I did the course in locksmithing, and I decided, you know, quit my job. But here now we have a situation. I'm now a locksmith, but I don't know how to market. I don't know who I'm going to sell the products to. I don't know. You know, they teach you as much as they can and make suggestions. You can go to estate agents and drop off cards and so on and so on. And I have to give respect to my manager that I used to work for at the same security firm, because the building manager, he used to call me in to do bits there, you know, because he and I got on very well, and you know I was a hardworking person, so he used to call me in to do lock repairs every now and then and so on. But that was not enough to kind of, you know, to pay your bills and all that, you know, and I was getting very concerned that this is not generating enough money, and I don't know how to advertise. So one day I decided, I saw there was a locksmith company that was in my area, and I decided to approach the boss of the company and tell him that I was looking for work as a subcontractor. And he said to me that, you know, we already have so many subcontractors. You know, we're not interested in taking on any more subcontractors. But if you want to come and work for me directly, I can give you a job. But I wasn't looking into going back into employment, you know. So about a month, so I said, okay, and we part ways. And about a month later, I became very desperate because I wasn't working. So I thought, you know what, I might take this job, you know. So I went back there. But when I went back there, the receptionist, he was not expecting me or anything. But the receptionist said to me that, oh, he's expecting you. You can have a seat. And I'm thinking, but I never made any appointment. So when he came out, he said, you again, man. Didn't I have a conversation with you last time and tell you that I don't want any subcontractors? So I said, give me a chance, man. I'm a very hard worker and I'm very committed and so on and so on. And he said, come in the office, man. So while I'm in the office, he's showing me different locks and asking me if I knew what they were and so on and so on. And, you know, I knew what they were. So I was impressed with that side of it. But bear in mind, I don't really have much experience. So he said to me, I can offer you a job as a subcontractor, but guess what? I can only pay you 30%. So I'm thinking, 30%. So out of every, say, $100, you're only going to get $30. And you have to pay your fuel from that. You have to pay your taxes. You have to live from that. And I'm thinking, that's a very small amount, you know? You can't think better. And I said, don't look at it that way, son. I've been doing this 30 years, and I promise that if you do this for 30%, I'll also impart 30 years of knowledge to you. You know, and I said, let me have a think about it. And I went home and I thought about it, and I rang him the following day and said, okay, I'll do it. And give me, I started to work for them. And whenever I had a scenario that I was not familiar with, like a locking system, I was not familiar with, I could always ring him. And he would always explain the scenario. Okay, do this, do that, do that. What does it look like? And I could describe the scene. And believe me, I've been everywhere in London. Not many people can say that. Because I was doing it for such a small sum, then he started to send all the work my way because the other subcontractors are working for maybe doing it for 45 or 40% or some even 50. But because I'm doing it for so little, he's sending me everywhere. So I would wake up in the morning at about, say, 7 o'clock. I'm on the road sometimes till like 3 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, the non-stop. Sometimes I'd go from one area, go like an hour away, and then he would send me back that other way. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So it was very pressuring in that sense, but I was enjoying it. And bear in mind, I was only being paid 30%. So I had to try and get as much jobs as possible so it could equate to something, you know. And what I did with that 30%, I would always save something aside and try to do my own little adverts as well. I did not just wait for him to send jobs. I wanted to build my own brand and build my own business. At the time, I had a business called A-Class Locksmiths, and I only focused on locks and, you know, and I was doing it for a while until after a while, my business started to become very popular, like on Google and so on, because I'm pumping the little that I'm having into advertising. And he became concerned, you know. He was all right, but his sons became concerned and was saying I'm starting to become like a competitor, you know what I mean? And asked me if I would like to run a franchise for them, like in another city, like in Birmingham. And I was thinking, boy, to leave my thing to work for, you know, run a franchise. I don't think so. So they started to send me less and less jobs. Because if someone has control over your finances, they can dictate your life almost, you know.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, so I realized they started to only send 1 and 2 jobs late in the evenings and so on and so on. And or times when nobody else wanted to do it. So I realized I could not do that forever. I started to pump. By this, I did that for 2.5 years though. So I committed for 2.5 years, and a lot of times I tell people whether they work for me or subcontractors about the 30% story, and they would say most people said they would have never done it. But you know, you have a saying in America that something got to give, and over here we say you have to sacrifice something because after 2 years,
Jamaica them say suck salt through wooden spoon.
wooden spoon. Yeah.
I write the next one again if you want good, you know, have to run.
Yeah. So after that 2 years, I was a brilliant locksmith because he did impart that, he did keep his promise and imparted that 30 years of knowledge to me. You know, so I now have a business, A-class locksmiths, and I was operating it and based in London and so on. But by now we had our first child. Me and my wife had our first child, and we didn't have any family members that lived close by or anything. So it started to become a struggle now because we have a daughter and somebody had to stay off work. I stay home with her when my daughter is not in nursery. Either I stay home or my wife stay home. So it became difficult in that sense, you know. So my wife was originally from Manchester, and she suggested maybe we should move to Manchester. And I'm thinking, oh no. Imagine after, you know, setting up a business. I did not have a physical premises at the time. So it was a mobile locksmith, you know. I was a mobile locksmith. So man, van and phone, and, you know, you advertise and people ring and so on. But I'm thinking to give up this business to move to another city and nobody is going to know me, because by this I'm operating for about 5 years, yeah. So she said, you know, remember Manchester is a cheaper place to live and so on and so on, and you know you could probably consider getting a premises instead, and it can expand and so on. And I'm thinking to start from scratch again is going to be so difficult, but you know. And she said, but we could even probably afford a house because it's cheaper to live. And I thought about it for a while, and I decided, okay, let's do it. Move to Manchester now, yeah. And that I never forget, something I'll never forget. I had a nice little BMW, because you know, I had a nice little van and everything, and you know, come down to Manchester now, and bear in mind I'm starting from scratch again because I don't know anybody here and so on, and I'm trying to do the same advertising and so on, and it's not working. It's difficult, yeah. And it was so heartbreaking when I have to sell I had to sell my car and savings.
Yeah, but sell your BM.
That I had started to
I know how you feel. I know how you feel.
Me's
a BM man.
Oh, okay. I love. I'm one of my favorite cars.
Yeah. Me have wanna give me a little trouble right now, myself.
They do.
Me no want to get rid of it.
I understand. Yes, a pretty driving experience with a BMW more than anything else. I think I don't have one at the moment, but I really like BMWs. But I never forget how hurt I was having to sell the car and thing, and it's like my savings are going away because I still have adverts in London and commitments and so on. And you know, at one point I was so depressed because imagine having that nice life in London where everything is going well, to come here and not really working, only getting the odd jobs here and there when I advertise, you know. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'll have to get a job. And I applied for a job. A job came available with a company, a locksmith company. And they did alarms and so on as well. But the nature of the job was to do warrants. And when I say it's like a utility company, and you do warrants. And what you do, say the peer person is not paying their bills. What you would do, it's a team of 3 people. I'm the locksmith, there's a warrant officer, and there's an engineer who changes the meters and so on. But whether you're there or not, we're going to enter the property because you have been sent so many letters and so on and warning that we're going to gain entry because the meter, whether gas or electric, is considered to be property at the utility company, and they have all rights to access it. Yeah. And believe me, I really hated the job because everybody you're coming into contact with are depressed people who cannot pay their bills. Sometimes you'd open the doors. Sometimes you'd open the doors and people are inside and they didn't want to answer, or a dog may attack you. You know, it was very depressing. And I consider myself an empath. Empath meaning that I absorb people's feelings. I can feel when people are down and I can feel, their energy. And it's a feeling that I really used to hate because it's not even a case that you can accept a cup of tea from someone because the nature of the job, you're there changing their meter. We would never disconnect, but you're coming across so many different types of scenarios where people can't pay their bills and, they're in despair and all of that. So I never liked the job, but it paid the bills, so I was doing it. But the brilliant thing that job taught me was to do locksmithing on another level because we'd have to open the properties non-destructively, which means that we're not going to change the locks. We're going to manipulate and open these doors without having to damage anything at all. So it brought my skill level to another dimension. Because when you're opening like all 10 doors for the day, my skill level is has to be on point.
Yeah, man.
And while doing that, I was in the back of my mind, I always wanted to go back to employment, to self-employment. Because I just, after a while, I felt I was not cut out to, I'm a brilliant employee. When I work for somebody, I give it my all. I don't care when other people are criticizing the boss and all of that. No, I'm not a negative person like that. I would say whenever someone is criticizing the boss and all of that, I'd say to them, listen, we don't know what this person has had to sacrifice. Maybe they have put up their house, their remortgage, their premises to give us a job. And some people don't like that conversation,
But a real talk.
Me have a conversation like that with one of my co-workers them Friday again. It never sound as nice as feel, but it have been but it along them lines that still there. Me have to make my feelings known.
Yeah. I understand. So I'm doing this, but in the back of my mind, I'm planning I'm going to build a business, and this time I'm building, and when I build it, I'm going to make it even stronger. Yeah. And I always think about what I would do, the colors I wanted to have, the name and all of that. And along this journey as well, I met some really good quality people on the job because I met this guy. He was an engineer at the time. Yeah, he did electrics and so on, and he was very good with his hands, and we became very good friends. So I decided that I wanted to pursue about this security thing, this entrepreneurship route. And after working for this company for about 2.5 years, and I saved as much as I possibly could. Yeah. And I was now looking for a premises. And I always pass and see this premises that I'm now in. But it used to be a car audio place. But I thought it was an ideal location, and I was now looking for a premises. And I went to a few places and I was disappointed. Either the landlord never turned up or something went wrong and so on. And one day I was driving past here and I saw that the signs were taken off. And I'm thinking, oh my, I wonder how a place like that could have closed down because it's right, it's in a ideal location. And every day I would drive past to see when they put up a to let sign. In America, you will say for rent. Here we say to let. Yeah. So every day I drove past until I saw the sign for rent on it. And by the following morning, I rang because I didn't want anyone to force me, because the main thing as an entrepreneur, you have to be very, very aggressive. You can't be laid back.
Proactive, yeah.
Yeah. You have to be very proactive. You can't wait. You have to just, because just like, I can see it as having so much potential for a business, other people are going to see that as well.
Yeah, man, definitely.
So by the following day, I rang, and they said, you're the first person to ring, but there are other people that are interested in it, But I asked them when was the earliest viewing, and they told me when the earliest viewing was. And when I came in, it was an empty building, but I could see myself, I could see myself working and operating from here. It just looked perfect. Other people would probably see blank walls. I'm seeing machines, and I'm seeing, our logo and our brand and all of that. And that was 8 years ago. And we got the premises, and my good friend Tom, that I told you, Tom Wilcox, that I met on the job, we would come here in the evenings because I was still working. We would come here in the evenings, and he would help me to do the electrical. He would help me to build the counter. He helped me to do this, and and when it was no time for me to open, and I decided to resign from the job, and they asked me if there's anything that they can. I didn't tell them I was opening a business. They asked me if there's anything they can do to let me stay. They don't mind paying me more and so on, because as I said, I'm a good employee. So, we had to say our goodbyes and so on and so on. And I started this journey of, again, this is now Rhino Locksmiths and Services. So I got the premises ready, and we had a grand opening and so on. But, I don't know where this journey was going to take me, because I've never really operated a shop. Like shop in the sense of like a locksmith shop. And the key cutting machines and so on, I had to get them second, and but I got good quality machines. Someone had closed down, and they had sold me their machinery, and sold me the keyboards and so on and so on. And what little money I had, I put it together, and my missus contributed. We put our little money together, and we made it the best that we could at the time. And I started to advertise, and people start realizing that we're now located here, and more people started to come and to get their keys cut and so on and so on. But I realized that this key cutting alone and this locksmith thing is not going to cut it. We need to advertise and do other things. So there used to be a place called Maplin. It's no longer exists. Maplin usually sell like CCTV and so on, like DIY CCTV, do it yourself. And I started to sell those, and people start gravitating to it. And I used to sell some little cheap alarm and so on. And one day I went into a place to buy a replacement camera, and the guy got familiar with me by now. And the guy said, "Damion, why you always fit in that garbage?" So I said to him, no, this is not garbage. It works, and people can view it from their phones and so on. I said, yeah, but that is not really considered professional. Why don't you install decent stuff, and you'll attract a different type of clientele instead of just selling cheap and cheerful stuff. And I said, but I don't know how to install them, professionally, because that's why I'm buying DIY stuff, so it's easy to install. But he sells professional items. And he said, listen, here's the deal. If you promise to buy from me and me only, I'll teach you everything you need to know about them. Yeah. So when he said that, I thought, okay, that sounds like a good deal. But here, when we say teacher, a man is not going to physically come on site with you, But what they do, they offer you support. So if there's a problem and so on, you can ring them, and they say, okay, do this.
Troubleshoot.
Yes, very true. Also, I started to go on different courses, So I now started to do like professional CCTV and professional alarm systems as well. And I realized, in this life, you can't be too cheap. Because if you are a person who buy cheap things, then you attract cheap clients as well that don't want to spend much. But if you sell quality, you will attract a quality kind of clientele that wants quality.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I realized that after I start selling these products, I start to get a better quality type of clientele, and in the background, I always try to read as much as I can and know about what I'm selling, know about what, and even marketing videos. I really have to give thanks to YouTube. YouTube is a brilliant medium for learning. YouTube is a brilliant medium for learning, and I'd always try and see how I can become a better entrepreneur, how I can market, how I can learn to communicate better to people, because communication is such a powerful thing. When you're able to communicate at any level, it will take you anywhere you want to go in the world, And I start to realize now, okay, I'm installing more and more systems and so on and so on.
So real quick, you installing these cameras and all these things, did you actually went to school for it, or you self-taught yourself?
A lot of it was self-taught, and also I went on these places that I buy the products from. They would have days that someone would come in and teach you as well. So I always, whenever there was a session that they're teaching, I'd always turn up, and they teach you more and more about the intricacies of what the products can do, and so on and so on.
Oh,
But I did not go to an institution to learn like I went to an institution to learn about the locks.
okay. So you went from not just locks but electronics.
Yes, we start to do the full package: alarms, CCTV, security lights. I sell ring products as well. So we do everything in terms of security, both for home businesses.
Okay, and this is just, I mean, this, I love this because it's a knowledge that people can see that you can do things without, necessarily have to go to college or to school.
Oh, virtual.
You know, and you're a perfect example, and that's why that's like my virgin say, we love talking to people like you, because you're a perfect example of what, you're a true testimony.
Thank you.
You've been there. Your speaking is volume. You're speaking from experience.
Oh, certainly.
So give us a little more insight of what's going on right now, because you give us the whole detail of your journey to where you are now, going from just doing locks to now electronics and security and all them those.
So when I started to now do the CCTV and alarm system, a problem that I had was that every time there was a problem with a system, you needed to go out, and it was not always convenient,
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that there are products that you can manage, there are systems that you can manage remotely. And I started to look in that direction to install more and more systems that I can stay here or stay wherever I am and remotely fix them. So most of the systems that we now install can be fixed remotely and controlled remotely. So if you have a problem, if there's a problem, all the customer needs to do is contact me, grant access to us, and then we can log in and diagnose the problem from wherever.
Wow. Wow.
So now we have hundreds of systems. We literally have hundreds of systems. But once, as I said, it's very, very easy to manage them nowadays because you don't need to physically go unless there's a problem that you cannot. You know, some problems, not all problems can be resolved remotely. So we have to physically drive, but at least we have an idea of what is wrong before we even turn up. So we can turn up with the part that needs to be But
So-
when I try to learn when I learn things, I try to learn everything about it. You know, so not only what people show me, but I have a very curious mind. I want to know why it works that way. You know, I take them apart to see what is inside them and push the boundaries of the systems. Because right now I can stay here and I can probably open my house. I can open my shop with just a press of a button. I can open my shop from anywhere in the world. I can turn on the lights. I can lift the shutters. I can speak to someone.
Anyway, in the world, like, you can do that from
Anywhere in the world.
What isn't technology, man? May I tell you? But
Yeah,
you see,
brilliant.
you
Good
see,
and it's bad.
you sound you to me, you sound like a man way because I've seen people make millions of what somebody already invented, but
Yes.
they improved on it and made it better.
Better.
And
Very true.
you sound like that's where you are right now.
That's why, like, all right. So them say comparison. Them say comparison is the thief of joy. So if you sit down and watch a man alkalates or even say you go sit down under a certain regime, you know what I mean? Like, oh, cause what amazes me about, you know, everything that you've said thus far is the fact that there are so many different people who have enormous talent who just remain complacent in a with them inner because of the sense of security. But for hear a man say him quit not only one but two job. You know what I mean? For embark upon a journey not knowing what lie ahead. You know what I say? Cause him could have did easy well go out there and feel, you know. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the journey of 1,000,000 miles start with the first step. You know what I say? So
not only that, he was determined not to fail.
Exactly. So for a man can step out and faith them way there, you know, is a personal testament. You know, remember, you know, the man have to sell him Beamer, you know, and him still, you can see the anguish. You can see the anguish in his face when him talk about it, even though, you know, man, say, look how long ago that transpire.
I will take it so long, Jenna.
You know what I said? Look how long ago that transpire, and him still talk about it. You know what I say?
Yeah.
Him still talk about it to this day when him there. You know what I mean? So
failure is necessary for us to learn as well. You know what I mean? Failure is
definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you're a living testament, brother. For, you know, anybody, regardless of the trade, regardless of the aspiration, regardless of.
And that I just tell him, you know,
yeah, man.
That I just told him. Yeah, man. You live it so you can talk about it.
Yeah, man.
Outside of that as well, I try to also surround myself with like-minded, positive people who are on a similar mission. You know,
right.
Because that's a lot. That has a lot to do with it as well. Because if you surround yourself with negativity, no matter how much potential you have, sometimes it can just go by the wayside. You know, because we have seen so many people with potential, or you know. That just it is never capitalized on. We know that they have potential, but they never made use of it, you know.
So may I say, as a Jamaican from how you say Orange
Park.
Orange Park, right? As a Jamaican from Orange Park, no, you know what I mean. You've reached.
Quick question. How long you been living in the UK now?
Next year will make 20 years.
20 years.
Yes.
So as a Jamaican, I don't know if much has changed from. I mean, I know me there Jamaica already, and me lose a key for my apartment, and me get a key cut. You know what I mean? I know that when time you them can gain entry to the house, sometimes them will crawl through the window. You know what I mean? But do you have any, like, in the future, any aspirations to actually bring the knowledge that you've acquired overseas, like, back home, to even kind of like heighten like what you've learned, like, to where you come from?
Well, in terms of, as you know, at the moment, a lot of crime is happening in Jamaica, you know, and the systems that we install are installed from a preventive perspective rather than a reactive perspective. What that means is that the systems like your alarm or CCTV will trigger before someone gains entry to your property rather than after the fact. I think a lot of places would benefit from technology like that. You know, am I planning to immediately go back to Jamaica? No, because so much has changed. Mom and dad has passed. I still go on visits and so on and so on. But I'd love to expand into other countries eventually. Because after 8 years, we still five-star.
But what about even there in England where you are now? I mean, would you want to even say teach the knowledge, pass the knowledge on there?
I've taught quite a few people over the years, even for other companies. I've taught people who work for other businesses and so on. But what we would like to do is really, it's not every secret that we want to necessarily share in terms of the business itself.
Listen, the master never ever him always hold back something,
Well, man,
not gonna make you know every single thing.
Why you think say to this day when him there, KFC is still a delicacy in Jamaica? Because at the end of the day, the colonel not disclose him recipe. You feel? yo, the colonel not disclose him recipe.
I tell you, I always hold back something, man.
We have even certain ways of installing systems that I'm sure other companies don't install it that way. And I wouldn't necessarily share that information, or even with it's only when people work here and so on. After a while, I share certain information. This is how we do this. This is why this works this way. This is why our systems are superior to other systems. This is why our installs are superior to other installs and so on. But what I would love to expand in terms of having other franchises, possibly in other capital cities like Birmingham and London.
That's what I was gonna ask you right now. I mean, do you just have one franchise, or do you have more than one franchise?
No, moment it's just one. We just have one. Which is located in Stockport, Greater Manchester.
But you plan on expanding though?
Yes.
Okay.
Slowly and steadily,
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how much impact you can have just from having one branch,
Yeah, of course.
The fact that you can also remotely do things, So, for example, this might sound scary, but one day you will need less and less people to do even security.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, if the premises is set up properly, then one person could stay somewhere and close out 10 buildings, 20 buildings.
Great talk.
It's a different world, you know. It's a
Listen,
different.
there, one movie that taught me a lot, and this movie came out in 1984, and that's that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator.
But,
That
yeah.
movie taught me. I don't. That's just me, but I saw that I see where they was coming from back then, and you seeing it now. What they were showing you in that movie from back then, you seeing it now, and them some of them still not get it.
What was the motivation or the inspiration behind the name Rhino?
Well, the name Rhino came primarily from the animal, the characteristics of the animal. It's robust, it's strong, you know. So when it associated with security, people think of having very strong security, you know. And I remember I drew the logo one day. Well, it was on a Sunday. I was at home and I made the logo, part of the logo. And my missus, we say wife or missus, came and drew a lock around it. And we just brought it to life, you know. But the name Rhino also means something. There are certain qualities. I was a bit taken aback afterwards because it's spelled RYNO.
Yes.
Yes. And researched, I really realized that also some of those qualities are in me. What it meant, you know.
Right.
Because I also believe strongly in the law of attraction, you know.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
Sometimes you're taken down a path unconsciously without even realizing that, you know, you're going towards your destiny. If that makes sense.
It's just ironic, you know. I don't know if this was by design, but I can remember, you know, during the course of the conversation, you know, outside of, you know, your mom and your dad, one of the things that kind of stood out to you and people that you looked up to were, you know, soldiers and police. And it's just kind of ironic the part that you chose, you know, has to deal with security. You know what I mean?
Funny thing, because when I look back, I've never really done anything other than security over the 20 years.
Exactly. So just looking at that, you know what I mean, and
oh, I never thought of it that way. That's
right. You know, just looking back at that, you know what I mean, because there's so many different professions. It could have been the jerkman, you know what I mean? Like you say, you come from a rural area, it could have been the farmer, it could have been your parents, you know what I mean? But the thing that you gravitated to is, you know, police, obviously, security, securing, you know, the immediate community, soldiers, on a wider scale, you know, securing the island, you know what I mean, or the country, you know what I mean, and then, you know, even and even though it didn't work out, that's one time you did apply for go up on the force when you reach England, but the part that you chose,
still,
you know what I mean,
secure.
falls along those same lines of what initially inspired you, you know.
True.
And then when you bring it back down to mommy and daddy level, you still couldn't see yourself working for somebody else. So you always did have to come from under that particular rule in order to establish, stand up on your own too, basically.
Yeah, I just was not cut out to work for somebody else.
Right.
As I said, I'm a brilliant employee. I know that I'm a brilliant employee because I'm always.
And from you use the word brilliant, I was gonna say this to you. I know you're a brilliant man. Come here, me see it, and you don't have to tell us if exactly, but I said something to you earlier, like, you know, you see things and inventions, and you can take that and improve on it to make it even better. is there anything that's in your mind or anything that you're working on to improve on to take it to another level right now that has been in you know the job that you do as far as
Well, I'd like to have like a one integrated system. I'd love to have like one integrated system that can do everything, so you can be like 3 steps ahead of a potential burglar.
mm,
I'd love to bring something like that to the forefront.
is that something that you're working on or plan on working on?
Always
You know
working, man.
want to give away your secret, we know want you know want them know.
There are several platforms that we continue to work on a daily basis, and we try to fine tune and make our systems better. As I mentioned, so from anywhere at all in the world, you can use your phone and have full control of your home. Even if someone went in the garden, your alarm will go off before they even touch your door or anything like that. But most of that technology is already available, funny enough. But personally, to say I'm working on an invention, no, I'm not working on. I just work with the systems that I have. I try to make the best with them, and they work for me. You know what I mean? They work for me. So I choose very good quality systems that are less likely to fail. And I stand by my warranty that it should do this, it should do that. If there's a problem, um, I stick to my warranty. I'd rather, if someone complains that the system is not working, I'd rather strip it back out and put in another system because it's my
All
reputation.
right there. Strip it back out. Would there something we want to prove on before you put it back in, or you think you might be able to improve on?
Let us say, for argument's sake, that the quality is poor. Like we install a CCTV and the quality is poor, and we're investigating and can't find the problem. I'd rather give them an upgrade and give them even a better system, despite it may not be profitable, but it's an image that is on the line. And I take my image very, very serious. And our reputation is on the line. I take it very serious, more than even money.
Whether it be in your profession, your current profession, or just any profession in general, what would it be that you would say to any potential entrepreneur or anybody who um wants to step out on faith? Like, what type of advice would you give to somebody, regardless of the profession, who wants to step out on faith and follow their dreams? What would it be that what type of advice would you give to them?
Well, first and foremost, self-belief is a very, very powerful thing. Never ever let someone plant negative seeds in your thoughts, because they will manifest into negative fruits. I'm even very skeptical about the conversations I have with people. Once I see it's going down a negative route, I think it's time to part ways because I won't allow anyone to plant any negativity. I listen good quality advice and so on, but I also tend to seek my own counsel, But anyone looking to start a business and to venture into entrepreneurship, you must believe in yourself first and foremost before anyone else will believe in you. And just don't think about failure. And even if you think about failure, just remember that failure is a part of the journey as well. It is the obstacles that will make you stronger. You must believe in what you're going to do. Don't just do it for money. Do it because you're passionate about it. Because when you do something that you're passionate about, the money will naturally come.
Believe in that.
Believe in
Believe
yourself.
that. I believe that.
Brother, like I don't think you could have said it any better. I mean, it's 3 years, approaching 3 years now since we've been doing this podcast.
Next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Congratulations as well.
Next month, September.
And we like, by some people's standard, we haven't accomplished anything, but to be able to commit to something for 3 years straight and continuously have the same passion what we did have from the minute we set out on a journey, to me speaks volumes.
Because even yours is a milestone. There are so many people who have started podcasts and so on and have, just given up on,
yes.
Because sometimes it won't happen in 1 day or 2 days or a year. Sometimes it takes time.
The seed, the initial seed has been planted. We've seen the results. We continuously see the results. It might not come in the form of 1 million views or whatever the case may be, but to be able to when you compile the amount of guests that we've had, including yourself, and you say, we there have to attack for almost going a 2 hour now. And if we did have 500 guests and at an average talk to them for 2 hours, you do the maths. That is that when you combine all of that, that is time where people will never get back.
But
where them choose to give to we.
My brother. But the greatest,
inspiring people out there as well,
Yeah, the greatest thing about this is, and like we say, bless for your time, my brother, cause you could not do anything else.
Likewise, bro.
Bless for your time. But the greatest thing is the knowledge that this man is giving us and to everybody out there. And if him change one life with him knowledge, it was worth it.
And then
that's the thing that me I look on.
And then the flip side to it is that this like me say, outside of everything that he's done, this is another piece of his legacy that he didn't even fathom, was going to be a part of his legacy. Like, this man just did want to feed him family. This man just did want get out before him even meet him family. Him did just want make mama proud. Him just did want reassure himself as a man. Say, me can gravitate to a profession, set out to do it and acquire it. So we're just an added incentive. So once we go survey and press stop record on this Ghana world and just I got there forever until there is no YouTube or no internet or no whatever.
That's never gonna happen.
Right. So more or less, this is something. Everything that was documented here today is going to be something that probably somebody
his grandkids can look
when
on.
You're gone, you're gone, when him gone, somebody are gonna be able to look back on this and say, yo, are the blueprint this?
Yeah, man. Real quick, how people try trace them family roots and go back. The technology here now that is great grandkids can just press a button and say in great grandfather. You understand? Before then they must use
based on the way this man attack in family, as long as him continue to have the type of ambition and the focus where him have, children's children are all right, But this writer so is for people who not even know. This writer so is for people who are not even born
yet. Yeah. That's my point.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, man. Just think about it, man.
A real talk, man. Think about
anybody
it, man.
will have
this will be here.
Yeah, man. Anybody will have.
You're leaving a legacy now.
Anybody we can utilize even one part of them brain where them not normally use. can look on this and say, yo, you know, celebrate it, just give me a blueprint for how to step out on faith and how to follow my dreams and my aspiration and actually make it work.
That's why I said if this man changed one life.
Yeah, because no one is going to do it for you.
Between us and him, we made a difference.
Yeah, man. And we are going to continue to do that.
Yeah.
One, if it's even one by one. We're going to continue to do that. Anybody right now where I mean, definitely we want to big up Zoni. We big him up already. You know what I mean? Big up
yeah,
Keisha.
Big up Zoni. Fake in our phone.
Yeah. Anybody else right now where, you know, me know you big up Miss Annie, and I mean, even though she's not there for here right now, God rest her soul, you big up mommy and daddy. You know what I mean? Anybody else where you don't want reach out to right now, we are gonna watch this, we are watch it now, we are gonna watch it 5, 10, 20 years from now. Is there anybody out there you'd like to acknowledge?
Yeah, man. Well, my wife and family, my wife and children, my co. You have always been there throughout the journey. You know, all my son and daughter. You know, all my close family members. I actually have my grandfather is still alive and still in Birmingham. He's 85 years old.
Big up grandpap. Big up yourself.
Yeah, man. My uncles and aunts, and most importantly, the customer that has made the business possible. Really appreciate you guys.
Wow. Because without them, like me tell people already, I said it earlier before we actually introduce you into the live, but you know, for the people them where I always emphasize, you have to be a one boss, and you know, you have some people where talk, you know, and them just talk, and me not say what them I say, not relevant, but in every aspect of life, you're not going to always, without no employee, there would be no boss.
Boss, very true.
You know what I mean? You know, so, you know, at the end of the day, I know what, and that is another thing where I have to big up on, because you have some man where, you know, yeah, them have a business and them this and them that and them rate, and them look like them are front span people who still a work for people or whatever the case may be. Brother, you have to understand, even if you have an own a business, you know, I work for somebody.
Oh, you're working for the customer.
Yeah, but you work for the customer. But without the customer, who would you be?
Exactly.
Who would you be without
you know
the
what
customer?
I mean? So
if nobody can spend $1 with you,
and everything in life and everybody in life have them purpose, and people might not necessarily acknowledge or embrace what them purpose in life is. But at the end of
that is a very powerful thing that you have just said, you know, about purpose.
Exactly.
No, it's when you find your purpose, you know, it's different. When you get up in the morning, you have such an energy.
Exactly.
You can't get to go to work.
Exactly.
You know, so that's a crucial thing, to find their purpose.
Exactly.
You never stop self-searching.
When you done business fee night, you know, I'm sure that you have some things where you have to discard and dash way and them thing there. You know what I mean? If you don't have a rubbish man to come collect that.
And that me go to touch
you
on.
Even
the man who collect the trash,
right,
is very important.
You understand?
Brother.
If you can't go at the fish and chips, man, because England you're there, that's why me utilize
that
terminology there. But if you can't go at the fish and chips, man, after you done work all a full day of work, you know, you're dead for hungry. You know what I mean? So everybody in this life has a purpose.
The artist named Buccaneer have a song that says every show have them actor.
Exactly.
Role. I remember one night watching TV, and Tesco is a large company over here, and the boss was there, and it was a live panel, and there was someone saying to the boss that they wanted a job there just to pack shelves and so on and so on. And the boss said to her, you realize the importance of that role of packing that shelf? Because if there's no one to pack the shelves, then how are you going to get the products?
Exactly.
So everyone has their own purpose, and it is also a very important thing. You might be doing a job that you think that is not your calling. Don't be half-hearted. Give it everything. You will never know who may discover you. Because people see those qualities in you and think, so that guy who brings out the trash and bring it out, and he's always on time, he's always clean. You never know where it will take you, but give it your all. Never do anything and do it half-hearted, or don't do it. If you're gonna do anything and you're gonna do it half-hearted, don't do it.
Yes. Damion, I mean, it's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, we could have chat for your next hour.
Yeah,
about,
man, really man. I mean,
man.
my general, like me say, your ambition is unquestionable. It's very inspiring, to see somebody willing to step out on faith so many times. And I know that if you've done it so many times before, the sky is the limit. And as long as you have breath in your body, you're going to continue to go up the ladder. You know what I mean? I'm sure that, the next time we talk to you, you probably would have embarked on some other endeavor.
On the same note, it shows that it's not impossible for anybody.
Yeah, man.
Not at all. Not at all.
Continue to be an inspiration, not only to our followers and our subscribers, but to everybody that comes across, because basically more or less all you're doing is just keeping blessings in rotation, because there's been somebody who, like mommy and daddy, once again, there's also been somebody who has blessed you with 30 years of experience where, even though them son fight you out of the thing or whatever the case may be, them father give you something where, at the end of the day, you take and share with other people, and ultimately you come and share with us and our viewers and
guess what? He's a role model.
Yeah, man.
You're a role.
Definitely.
Whether you want to believe it or not, my brother, he's a role model.
Yeah, man. Rita.
He's a role model. Remember that.
Rita.
You are a role model.
Rita.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it, brothers. I appreciate it.
And I'm glad for the day when you and Zoni decide to drape up on one another. Probably if that nobody go on, we will know about you.
Yeah. When my police and all them something, so what's one of them time when you have police and all them things?
I can run. He was from America.
He come already. He forward already.
Yeah, man.
Well, you had him keep in touch regular though.
A good friend, and he's a positive youth, and he's a very good artist.
Man.
He speaks very highly of you.
Yeah, man. He's an inspiration as well. Positive youth.
Very highly of you. So, Damion,
it's funny. We are coming down to Florida, probably about next month or so. But make sure you make yourself available, because we are forward down there. We are forward down to Florida because we have some business to come look about down there.
Damion, big up yourself. Once again, give thanks for the time where Jaja, where you give it, where you can't get back. Big up your family.
The Overall Settings podcast and the whole team, and thanks for getting in touch. Thanks for documenting the journey, and keep inspiring others as well, my friends.
Salute, man. Salute.
Yeah, listen.
Thanks,
hey, listen, man. Feel free for link with anytime. Anything you have new, go on. Link with me, know so you come reason with we. We not do interview, we do reasoning. And this was a real good reasoning. And love the reasoning what we have look a while.
Say a Monday man in England right now, though. Monday man over there right now.
Yeah, already?
Yeah, man.
You're right.
3 minutes. 3 minutes after 12. 3 minutes after 12.
Boy,
you know I mean?
A couple virgin now we have England.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I make a link.
Big up. What virgin over there? artist.
Who that?
Few artist, man. We live in England.
We can't remember right now.
Oh, you mean you can't remember we artist, man?
Who that?
Oh, you can't remember we artist. Me,
you can't remember.
But you remember because you and him do all movie and song.
G. No. Big up yourself,
Apache.
Oh, Apache Indian.
Apache Indian.
Yeah, man, our general.
Our general. Big up Apache Indian.
We made a go say still. Jano, you lose me chain of thought, brother.
This is a live show, bro. That's how it goes.
Big up yourself, Mr. Douglas. Once again. I remember now. The world may know you as the CEO of Rhino Alarm and Security Services. But we will refer to you whenever you come over here, so as Damion Douglas Settings. So yeah, the Settings Ghana and Pioneer. Your name, you know.
So you wanna
win.
So if we ever come to England, we call and say your Damion, we come link in.
Or any other entrepreneur, any other the same way as you want to refer you to the platform, feel free to refer somebody else to the platform. If we have an entrepreneur over there and you feel like you want to come sit in on a live, we send you a link and you can come sit in on it. You know what I mean? Wherever the case may be.
Anybody, lawyer, doctor.
If you have a new security system where you set
anybody
up and you want to relinquish certain things and you give the people them some pointers forward over here. Anywhere you want to do it, with there Sophia. Because you want to win.
Your settings now, no, so
manners.
Nobody go on like a stranger. Like if we call you, nobody say, oh, no again. Because you want to win now.
Salute.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Blessed love family.
Up top.
Yeah, man. Bless.
Orange Park in the building.
Yeah, man. Bless up Orange Park, my place.
All right.
All right.